Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be painting a Barrow Knight from the Soulblight Gravelords range. I'll walk you through the entire painting process step by step, using a mix of dry brushing, weathering effects, and sponge work to create a cold, weathered look that fits the undead theme. With the model Prime Black, I start by airbrushing the entire model with AK 3rd Gen Rusty Brass to give a deep, aged metal base. Then I dry brush over the whole model with Pro Acryl Light Bronze, catching the raised edges of the armor. Next, I give the armor a wash using a 1-to-1 mix of Citadel Guilliman's Flesh and Lamian Medium, warming it up and pushing shadows into the recesses. Once the wash is down, I soak up any excess pools of contrast paint before they dry. The chainmail parts are painted with Vallejo Metal Color Copper to add variation in the metallic tones. I go back in with a light dry brush of Pro Acryl Light Bronze to bring back some highlights lost during the wash. The cloth areas are base coated with Pro Acryl Brown Grey, setting a desaturated, aged fabric tone. Leather straps and the belt are base coated with scale 75 red leather. The saddle and sword scabbard are painted with scale 75 brown leather for a bit of color variation. Both the knight and the horse's bones are base coated with Pro Acryl Bone. pick out additional metal details like saddle hardware, fittings and parts of the lance, and paint with Vallejo metal color dark aluminum. The front of the shield and the bridle are base coated with Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White to give a bright foundation. The lance is painted with Citadel Mournfang Brown. I follow up by layering Pro Acryl Dark Ivory over the white areas on the shield and bridle to give them a warmer, aged tone. The bone areas are shaded with a 1-to-1 mix of Seraphim Sepia and Lamian Medium, which settles nicely into the recesses. I wash the metal areas and the cloth with Pro Acryl Black Wash to tone everything down and add depth. The lance gets a wash of Citadel Agrax Earthshade to emphasize the wood texture. The bridle is shaded with Citadel Soulblight Grey to keep it soft and neutral. The helmet wings are base coated with Pro Acryl Burnt Red, setting up for a fiery highlight. Now, I apply a weathered, oxidized look by mixing 1 to 4 Pro Acryl Jade and Nuge Medium. I brush it into crevices on the shield and armor, then smudge and remove some with a makeup sponge and a damp brush. The Nuge Medium slows the drying time of the paint, so you have some time to manipulate it and get the look you want. Need some studio gear or hobby tools? I've included links to the products I use in the description below. If you make a purchase through those links, I get a small kickback at no extra cost to you. It's a fantastic way to support the channel. The cloth is highlighted using a mix of Pro Acryl, Brown Grey and Ivory. I add more ivory into the mix and continue highlighting the cloth for a faded, worn appearance. Then I use a makeup sponge to build a final highlight, now with even more ivory added to the mix. I follow up by edge, highlighting the folds with a brush. highlight all the bone areas using Citadel Screaming Skull, softening the contrast from the previous wash. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. It would really make my day. The horse's hair is base coated with Citadel Basilicanum Grey. I highlight the raised areas of the shield with a sponge using Pro Acryl Ivory. I pick out the metal rim and interior of the shield with Vallejo Metal Color Dark Aluminum. The lance gets a first dry brush of Citadel Steel Legion Drab, giving it a rough wood grain texture. Then I dry brush the upper half of the lance with Citadel Baneblade Brown to build a natural highlight. The bridle is highlighted using Vallejo Off-White to give it a soft edge. Leather highlights begin with a mix of scale 75 red leather, and Pro Acryl Ivory. Then I add more ivory to the mix for a second, brighter highlight. The saddle and scabbard are highlighted using a mix of Scale 75 brown leather and Pro Acryl Ivory. Then I increase the ivory content for a second highlight, hitting the sharpest edges. I highlight the helmet wings using Pro Acryl Bold Pyrrole Red as a first pass. Next, I brighten them further with Pro Acryl Orange. and then finish the gradient with a final highlight of Pro Acryl Golden Yellow. To finish the brass armor, I highlight it with scale 75 citrine, picking out edges and raised details. All metal parts are given a first highlight using scale 75 thrash metal. Then I push the contrast further with scale 75 heavy metal, edge highlighting both brass and silver parts, especially where the light would hit. To enhance the verdigris, I apply War Paint's Fanatic Verdigris over the previously jade-tinted areas. I use a sponge and a damp brush to control and shape the effect. The horse's hair is highlighted with Pro Acryl Warm Grey, gently brushing along the strands. Bone details are finished off with a final highlight of Citadel Wraithbone for crisp definition. And finally, I give the cloth a last edge highlight using Pro Acryl Warm Grey to make it pop. For the base, I apply PVA glue and then sprinkle on a Geek Gaming Scenics rugged field mix. I then press in a few scattered rocks to finish the scene. That's it. The Barrow Knight is fully painted and ready to ride into battle. If you have any questions about the steps or paints I use, feel free to drop a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.